StarCraft.
And both players, when they return to Korea, the stigma and the aura around them will have changed completely if they become the champion here in Katowice. In the bottom left here, on Catalina, from Janair Green Wings, this is Trap. And in the bottom right, from KT Rolster, currently one map up, this is Zest.
Zest has a lot of experience on, not this size of a stage, but he's been on a couple of finals and won a couple of tournaments. He's got a lot of experience in that regard. Trap, on the other hand, doesn't. So this is a very important map for Trap coming into game number 2. He doesn't want to go down 0-2 against a Protoss player with a lot of experience under his belt, because then the nerves will kick in, the doubts creep in, and he mustn't allow that to happen. He has to trust in himself, as we've seen throughout the World Championship at this event in Katowice, Poland, that he is definitely one of the best players. He is, of course, he's in the final, and he has to continue through with that momentum.
Stage experience, a huge factor when you're in something this huge. We're seeing a slight difference here in the opening here. 2 gases from Zest, Trap taking these just a little bit later.
Yeah, he's a little bit more mineral focused because he didn't go straight for the second gas, but they're ultimately going to be in very similar positions. The one big notable difference between the two is that Trap has sent a probe out. This probe could be at home, maybe should be at home, working and bringing in minerals to further his income and just get the best efficiency he can get. But he's decided to pull it off from working and wants to figure out and find where Zest is and to scout where he's kind of leaning towards when it comes to the next part of the game. On the other hand, Zest doesn't care. He's not worried about what Trap's up to.
And even against Innovation, he kind of just didn't scout in that series. And right now, he's completely fine with just worrying about his home base, dropping his tech back at home, getting that little bit of extra income from that one probe. It's not critical, but it's something.
Yeah, and double gateway has been invested into here by Zest, just like he did in game number 1. So he's able to bring out a few stalkers, a handful of stalkers, very early on, and start to move out to the middle of the map, maybe move over to his opponent's base once he finds out where he is, and feel out how many units do you have? Do you have the same like me? Do you have less? Do you have an expansion? And then can start to approach the next part.
Both players opening with their stalkers. Trap just now getting into the main of Zest, but his probe's been undetected.
So the probe is going to hide.
Easy. There's a pylon here.
Yeah, so unfortunately, he wanted to hide, he wanted to stick around for a little bit longer and then dart in to get the information on what tech choice was chosen. Unfortunately, he ran into a pylon, was scouted and picked up.
That's right, so a small little victory there for Zest. Only a small one though. Twilight Council is going down unscouted here, very early from Zest.
Nice pickup there of the probe kill, and that also says that Zest stays in the dark. We see a sentry be built by Trap. A sentry is 100 gas, 50 minerals, so he's spending his gas but banking minerals, which usually leads us to believe that a second base is going to be taken very early on, and that is the case here by Trap. So it's all about now for Trap's game plan. I've got an early base, very early compared to my opponent. I have to defend this. If I defend this, I go into the mid part of the game with a big economy advantage, and I'm going to be able to build a lot of stuff and just usually win the game, as you do in most StarCraft games, right?
Indeed. One of the things in StarCraft is, well, one of the mantras is, if they expand, attack.
Right.
And it looks like Zest is definitely going to be happy about seeing this Nexus.
So Zest sees the Nexus. He's got a big scout now, and he knows what his opponent's up to. He has chosen before that scout to go for Blink, an upgrade for the Stalkers, and a third gateway coming in. So what we're going to see from Zest is, he decided to cancel it. So that's actually very interesting, because what he could have done with that is try to deal damage, blink in the main base, get some probe kills, slow his opponent down, and then expand behind it. But he was willing to cancel the upgrade and just throw a Nexus down himself. So in terms of the economy, Zest is going to be a little bit behind because he's not trying to challenge for it. He'll enter the mid game, as we call it, in a little bit of a deficit because of that.
And he's going to get the Forge as well, maybe try and catch up a little bit on this deficit by having better upgrades in his army. Can definitely come into play. Stargate going down back at home for Trap. So his tech is shifting as well.
And that is going to get spotted by Zest, who darts in with his mothership core and is going to just, may go all the way out here, may not need to use a recall. Okay, he's going to kill a probe and then just recall out. So Trap's plan has been spoiled. He went for the Stargate, and usually you could see an Oracle to try to dart in, to pick off probes and do a lot of damage, and we actually saw Stalkers move in to pick up another probe. So 2 probes were killed.
Yeah, small damage, nice little sort of edge advantage for Zest here.
Yeah.
And Trap's economy is his advantage though. Stargate just now finishing.
Yeah, he's got the second Nexus a little bit earlier on. He doesn't have more probes because he did lose 2, but he's able to chrono boost just for about 10, 15, 20 seconds more than his opponent. Interesting here by Zest. He's got information on his opponent. He knows that that Stargate's there, right? So he knows that an Oracle could be used. An Oracle could get one-shot by a High Templar now that the Templar Archives had been invested to. And also, if Phoenixes were to use, they can't pick up Archons. And Zest is building an army that is very good against the infrastructure and the setup that Trap has back at home because of the intel that he got. On the flip side, Trap doesn't know that, okay, until now he does know. That's a good scout.
Now we see a ground army moving across the map here from Trap, and what have we got on the ground for Zest?
Well, he's got the Mothership Core, which does have enough energy for a Photon Overcharge, but a force field on the ramp here from Trap is going to keep the majority of any units inside the main base, and he could get some kills here. This is a nice move from Trap.
This Immortal is incredibly good against Stalkers as well, which is the meat and potatoes of Zest's army.
Yeah, he gets 2 probe kills, then pokes out. It's better than nothing. Just, you know, chip damage again to your opponent.
This Oracle, 0 kills. Uncharacteristic of this unit of Apollo to only have 0.
It got hit by the High Templar. From the feedback ability, it lost all its energy and unfortunately isn't able to do any damage.
Unfortunate for Trap and great for Zest. So we see the Robo going down for Zest, and the Charge also coming down for the Zealot. So Charge-Lot Archon, a reasonably decent Protoss army choice getting into the mid game.
They're choosing 2 different armies coming past the 10-minute mark. We're seeing Trap building up a slower, more powerful army that he's chosen to go for the Robotics Bay, and the Colossus, very similar to what we saw in map number 1. Though on the other hand, we see Zest here deciding to play with the Templar Archives. He doesn't have the Robotics Bay, and he's going to be using Zealots, Archons, Immortals, and have a very mobile army overall, and looking to be active, maybe to take a fast third, maybe look for a big fight soon before Trap builds up that big ultimate army.
And he scouts with the Hallucinated Phoenix here. He sees that Colossus tech is on the way. Drops an extra couple gateways back at home, makes a Warp Prism, and starts his +2. He is up 1 attack upgrade over Zest, over Trap at the moment.
Zest has chosen the 3rd Nexus. He knows that his opponent is building a very powerful army, but cannot be ready for the next 5 minutes or so. So he's very comfortable to expand with minimal units and hopefully build up an economy large enough to tackle that army once it's finally ready. His upgrades, as you pointed out, are better. He has +2 attack on the way already compared to Trap, who has +1. Trap needs to figure out a little bit more where he is in this game. He doesn't know about this 3rd Nexus. He doesn't know if he's about to be attacked or not. Information is everything.
1 Oracle coming in for a couple probe kills. He does get the 2 he needs, doesn't lose it. So that's a nice little win there for Trap. A little bit of damage. Zest moving out with a Warp Prism. Bunch of sentries and an Archon. Seeing what he can get done. He sees no 3rd from Trap.
So it is pretty difficult here for Zest to do any damage when your opponent's tucked tight defensive on 2 bases. But maybe, unfortunately, was scouted, could drag the attention of Trap one way, then use this Warp Prism to warp in units towards the back of the base here.
Looks like Trap splitting his forces, going to defend in 2 spots here. Chargel's coming down. They won't even get a pylon here. The Warp Prism needs to get the hot pickup from those Stalkers. Heading up to the natural. There's a Colossus already in position and a wall off with the gateways as well.
A wall off with the gateways to, once again, protect himself. He knows that he's, as mentioned, is getting stronger and stronger the longer the game goes. But on the other side now, we have Zest actually throwing down the Robotics Bay himself. So he has chosen this very dangerous army for Trap to be able to build this expansion. And down goes the Oracle here. So nice little pick off there for Trap.
These High Templar have actually been excellent for the defense against Oracles. The very, very minimal damage from these Oracles at all. I think it's just 2 overall. Zest picking up the Warp Prism, looking to get another drop happening here, moving across with his pretty beefy looking army.
Yeah, it's built up quite well now, and he's confident to move out into the open. 3 Colossus can do a lot of damage. He's got to use the Mothership Core to use the Time Warp to slow down any charging units. The position of the engagement and fight is important. If it's out in the open, it's better for Zest. If it's very tucked in, narrow, better for Trap because of the Colossus and the amount of splash damage they're able to do.
Yeah, so positioning very, very important in these engagements. Time Warp and all sorts of business becomes very important in the engagements as well. Zest just kind of repositioning his army in the middle of the map here. He's just keeping it. He doesn't want to get caught out. I didn't want to say he doesn't want to walk into a trap. I mean, he kind of does, but with a favorable position.
Well, this is a pretty good position for Trap up here.
It does.
And Zest is going to back off. And both of them only focusing on increasing the army's strength and value. No economy has been touched for the last couple of minutes. But where is Trap going? Trap is moving south. And look at all these ramps that are below his army. It's very difficult for Zest to attack into that.
And this Warp Prism is going to be picked off. These Zealots aren't going to do much at all, the defense here. And this third is under siege by Trap. He's killing probes, and the Nexus is almost certainly going to go down. But Zest on the other side of the map, going for attack into the natural of Trap here.
Very smart from Trap, though. Kills off the Nexus, then recalls the majority of his units home. But he didn't bring all of them home. I think the recall was a bit of a mistake because he didn't grab everything. He only sent back about 20% of his army, and the other 80 is in the middle of the map. They're doing nothing.
They're on their way, and will they be here in time? Those force fields were excellent from Trap as he tried to keep the Zealots coming through a small little funnel here. As you mentioned, the funnel's great for the Colossus, but here comes the rest. So many charge lots from Trap coming through. Zest's army is starting to fall to pieces here, especially with the Colossus from the main coming down from the high ground.
Yeah, pretty good fight there, and 4 Colossus remain alive for Trap, and he pushes back Zest, and even though that was a little bit dangerous with that recall, he managed to get back in the nick of time. And most important there, they crashed against each other, they traded, Trap came out better, but important to note, the third Nexus was killed by Trap on Zest. The Colossus count between the two of them, 4 for Trap, 2 for Zest. Colossus are everything. They deal so much damage, and Zest in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, he is down slightly. The army supply is his advantage, though. He's going for an attack into the third, trying to get a Nexus cancel. Trap all over it for the time being. And once again, he's just trying to find an angle here, and Trap just keeps positioning his army and zones Zest out.
Yeah, this is a very delicate game and a delicate series. Map number 1 and map number 2. Both of them just backing off again and going to retake the third of each other. You see the Nexus coming in for Zest and likewise over the other side for Trap. But it's important to note, Zest does have that upgrade advantage.
And he will continue to have it with +3 on the way. I mean, there'll be a few seconds where they both have the same upgrade, but the way these players have been playing, it's been very positional, very, just a small attack here and there. The biggest engagement being at the natural there, and of course the third of Zest going down. So +3 will probably finish ahead of Trap before they engage next.
The funny thing is Zest keeps on spending money in his army. He is ignoring the fact that he has a third Nexus in. What he's hoping to achieve is if he doesn't invest into the later game, remember that upgrade advantage plays a big part. If he keeps adding to his army and his army and his army, the next fight he takes with an upgrade advantage is going to be a big one for him, and he might be able to defeat Trap in the fight.
He's moving in through the natural here. Trap going for a big push as +2 finishes.
Zest's army's bigger.
It is bigger. And is it better? The Zealots are coming down with the Archons from the top. Trap walking into a Zest trap. He's being pushed into Zest natural, and Zest is going to chase him the whole way. This one Archon on the edge, looking as going to get Colossus, doesn't even matter. GG! Zest fist pumping as he takes the second game away from Trap.
And it's interesting there, Maynard, because Zest was only adding to his army, adding, and Trap just walked over there and walked into it. It was as simple as that. And it was as easy as that for Zest.
That's it. He sprung it, and he has got himself a 2-0 map lead here in this best of 7, and he'd be feeling slightly more comfortable the more maps he takes away from Trap, who is so desperately trying to get recognized here in this tournament as a Jin Air, as the top echelon in Jin Air.
Right, Trap has to stop the bleeding. It's very important. He's lost 2 maps in a row against a world-class Protoss who's getting back into form. It's very, very important now not to... We talked a little bit. You don't want to go down 0-2, and this is a big problem now for Trap for the rest of the series. Nerves are going to creep in, and as mentioned, doubt as well. Zest is in an excellent position.
All right. Zest just taking a bit of a break here. And we're going to get into game 3 pretty shortly here.
Yeah, been a very close series so far here, Maynard, between the both of them, and it's been the small differences that have made the biggest impact. But it is one player up 2 games to 0. And it's got to stop now. If this goes 3-0, it is over the 5 years of StarCraft, a player coming back from 3-0 to win 4-3 has happened minimal times in a lot of tournaments.
Yeah. There's been some comebacks in this tournament, and Trap is looking to get his own. So we're going to take a little bit of a short break here before we get into game number 3. So guys, do not go away. Game number 3 very, very shortly here in the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice Grand Final between Zest and Trap.